I'm not supposed to be here.
Please get vaccinated. If you know someone who's not vaccinated, find a way to convince them to get vaccinated. Literally, the only people dying are the unvaccinated. And for those of you spreading misinformation, shame on you. Shame on you. People are needlessly dying because of your misinformation. Think about it. I don't know how some of you sleep at night who are doing this for a living. Please get vaccinated if you know someone.
Okay, look, let's preface this with a number of things. When I first saw that, I did not know what that AH's name was, and I asked as much on Twitter. I mean, I knew I've seen his face around. It's Chuck Todd, MSNBC. I saw this video, and it immediately triggered, and triggered in the meaningful sense, not triggered in the snow. It immediately sparked a sense of rage in me that is very difficult to explain. I'm generally speaking not an angry person. I thought it was fake. Like, I thought it had to be CGI. The quality is very, very rough. Like, it's a recording of a recording. I thought it was fake. I don't know the broader context of whatever diatribe Chuck Todd was in when he gave that finger-wagging piece of medical instructions. It's enraging, and I just have to go through it a little bit, section by section.
Please get vaccinated. If you know someone who's not vaccinated, find a way to convince them to get vaccinated. Literally, the only people dying are the unvaccinated.
First of all, he looks like Woogie from There's Something About Mary. I'm going to show you Woogie in a second if nobody remembers that. Woogie from There's Something About Mary. Literally, the only people dying are the unvaccinated. Well, my goodness, A, that was never true to begin with. And B, my goodness, is that medical misinformation? Chuck Todd, do you get deplatformed? Do you get unpersoned? Do you get canceled? Do you get labeled as disinformation, misinformation? Hell no, because you're MSNBC. What was it? It was Rachel Maddow. It literally, you get the vaccine and it literally blocks the vote. Literally, and he's using literally, not in the Rachel Maddow literally Russian propaganda. He's using literally, I presume. Or he's not. Who the hell knows? It's MSNBC.
And for those of you...
Finger-wagging bastard. Oh, sorry, by the way. There will be swearing today. And no, it won't be gin or alcohol related. It's 11 o'clock. There will be swearing today, even though there are children's ears behind the doors. I've told them to put the earmuffs on for the better part of this morning's episode. Finger-wagging bastard.
Please get vaccinated.
Oh,
if you know someone who's not vaccinated,
he's so emotional.
Find a way to convince them to get vaccinated.
Find a way to convince someone else what to do with their body. I'm going to tell you that I had to change the thumbnail for this episode, and I'll show you the original. Maybe I'll show the original in our locals part afterwards. I had to change the thumbnail because it was too mean even for me.
Literally, the only people dying are the unvaccinated.
That's wrong.
And for those of you spreading misinformation, shame on you.
Huh, I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry. Shame on you. And for those of you spreading misinformation, shame on...
I want to grab that finger and just like, I just cracked my knuckle 3 times. You know the old expression? When you point a finger, there are 3 pointing right back at you and a thumb pointing in a general direction, but a thumb is not a finger, it's a phalange, I think, if I'm remembering a Crash Test Dummy song properly. 3 pointing right back at you, Chuck Todd, you scum of the earth.
Ooh. Shame on you.
Shame on you.
People are needlessly dying because of your misinformation.
Oh, really, Chuck Todd? I bet you there's a number of vaccine-injured people who'd like to have a word with you now. Oh, look at that. Righteous, self-righteous, arrogant, pompous piece of human garbage. That's what the original thumbnail said, human garbage. Thought that was too mean. I had to change it to banality of evil.
Think about it. I don't know how some of you sleep at night who are doing this for a living.
Oh, I don't know how some of you sleep at night who are doing this for a living. Do I look pale? No. I've opened up the... Look, my studio is doubling as a there's a hide-a-bed in the couch, and we've got so many guests for Thanksgiving week. My daughter's got 3 best friends down from north of the border. My son's got 1 best friend. We've got our best family friend. Holy crab apples! This house is filled with love, joy, the occasional hissy fit, and so on and so forth. People are dying because of your misinformation. Oh, Chuck Todd, I don't want to say gleefully. If there's any justice in the world, the likes of Chuck Todd, Rachel Maddow, all other paid pharma whores and shills will be sued for the damages of the unsolicited medical advice they gave to others. I don't know how you sleep at night. I don't sleep particularly well at night. I've never slept particularly well at night. But I'll tell you one thing. I hope you, Chuck Todd, are sleeping on a big bed of cash, because may that be worth your soul that you have sold. Now, why did we start with that? Hold on, let me just I just gotta show you what it's. This was the original thumbnail from my amazing thumbnail guy, DSLR Dave. I don't want to close down my whole stream. DSLR Dave. I met him in Quebec. He reached out to me after one of my episodes on whether or not it was false advertisement that ginger ale contained ginger. He's the best thumbnail guy in the world. I text him the picture. I say, here's the text that I'd love in the thumbnail. Create something magical. And he did. But I looked at it and I said, that was too mean. It was too mean even for me. Not human garbage, okay? I had to change it to the banality of evil. Do you remember I don't know if any of you have ever watched Fight Club with the audio commentary of the director on, and there's a scene where after Brad Pitt and Helena Bonham Carter consummate love and marriage, she says something terrible after their exchange of sex, and the version that made it into the final release of the movie actually was a second version that replaced the original thing that she said. And the original thing that she said was apparently too offensive for the censors, and so they replaced it with the line that's in the movie, I haven't been like that since, whatever, which is exponentially worse than what the original one that was offensive was. And so I do wonder, human garbage, not very nice to say, although it's true. But the banality of evil, the thumbnail that we ultimately went with, I think is even more impactful. Semi-human garbage. So anyhow, just atrocious. And Chuck Todd, in fairness to Chuck, he's not the only one. There's a montage of these demonic, self-righteous bastards willing to sacrifice other people's bodies, lives, safety for their own sense of self-righteousness or for their own pocketbooks. I don't know how some of you sleep at night doing this for a living. Says the guy who receives big pharma bucks to push that line of medical disinformation. Oh, hashtag no medical advice, legal advice, or election fortification advice. But I think it's safe to say now that when Chuck Todd said literally the only people dying are the unvaccinated, I don't know how somebody was wrong. Factually, medically, scientifically incorrect. Okay. On the menu, we are going to get to Ireland later in this episode. But before we get there even, in line with that, it was not announced in my lineup for the stuff, but it's a meandering thought process to make sense of the world. You have Chuck Todd, who the hell knows when that was, 2021? Wagging his finger, shaming the unvaccinated, blaming them for death, hashtag confession through projection. The news of the day, by the way, coming out of New York? Yes, coming out of New York. Letitia James appealed a lower court decision that declared unconstitutional some of the quarantine laws or the lockdown laws that they enacted as relates to COVID. A lower court struck it down as unconstitutional. And then the appeals court, when is this? Is just from yesterday or the day before? November 21st. There was an appeal of the lower court dismissing some of the COVID legislation, lockdown laws, and call them laws, whatever the hell you want to call them. The lower court declared them as unconstitutional. And the Court of Appeals conveniently came and said, well, the petitioners had no standing to challenge the laws in the first place, so overturned. And it's just interesting that we're seeing all of this in real time now, in conjunction with what's being reported as a spread of a mysterious virus coming out of China. I mean, it's a joke, but it's not funny. It's a sad, sick, twisted joke. It's Alex Jones, his premise. They have the same move and they use it over and over again. 2024, If we don't get bogged down in martial law from World War III or an attack on American soil that makes voting at polling stations too unsafe, well, let's just go throw back to the mystery virus that's running rage and rampant through China, resulting in hospitalizations. The amazing thing is it's a mysterious lung virus with no inflammation and no coughing. I don't know what the hell that means, but so all of that in conjunction with Hochul's administration wins appeal in lawsuit over quarantine orders. A decision in a lawsuit over New York's COVID-19 quarantine regulations has been overturned. After oral arguments ended last September, the New York Supreme Court Appellate Division ruled that state's Commissioner of Health is allowed to issue quarantine orders to control the disease. According to the document, the plaintiffs lacked standing. Let me quote that for the podcast listeners. Like Barnes says, it's not ripe. It's what does he say? It goes from not ripe to latches. So not ripe to moot to whatever it is. They'll get you on standing. They will not recognize your standing to take lawsuits. They'll overturn it when they determine that the ultimate outcome, well, we don't like that outcome, and we can't deal with it on the merits of the declaration that the laws were unconstitutional. So let's just say that the people who got the lower court to declare that lacked standing. According to the document, the plaintiffs, quote, lacked standing, end quote, in their complaint that the quarantine regulations overstepped the separations of powers. And then we don't need to really get further into it. It's just amazing how it all seems to be coming together again at the same time. The decision comes after a lawsuit was filed against Kathy Hochul, the same woman who was pushing the jibby jab, by the way, for children 6 months and older. I know it sounds young. I know it sounds young to be sticking experimentals in the veins of 6-month-old children, but do it. I know it sounds young, but that's what they're telling us to do. It really went from we were just following orders in the Nazi era to we were just following orders of the medical experts in the current era. History doesn't repeat, but it tends to rhyme. Oh, okay. The plaintiffs, including Senator George Borrello, argue that the regulation impedes individual liberty and oversteps the separation of powers. The plaintiffs won the lawsuit against the Hochul administration, but New York Attorney General Letitia James, when she's not persecuting Trump, she's coming after your individual rights and liberties, people, in the name of science and in the name of Big Pharma. Oh, okay, fine. That's it. That's all we need. So we got the same. We're not going through that. I think Govea did a very thorough breakdown of this. Robert Govea, Watching the Watchers, amazing guy, amazing law analyst, talking dude. Full statement of the plaintiffs. We are deeply disappointed in the appellate's division ruling in favor of the Hochul administration. Yada, yada, yada. The court did not address the merits of the case, which were outlined by Judge Plates, that's probably Plates, in his original decision. Instead, they shamefully reversed and dismissed the case on a technicality, claiming that we, the petitioners, somehow lacked standing to bring the case in the first place. We strongly agree with the ruling and are concerned with the widespread implication of this erroneous decision. They have paved the way for Hochul and the Department of Health to reissue this heinous rule with a capital R, but they have set a precedent to preclude citizens from rightfully challenging government overreach today, and they've effectively, unconstitutionally empowered the executive branch to overreach into policymaking, which is a decision that could open the door to further abuse of power. In light of Governor Hochul's other overreaches into the daily lives of New Yorkers, including her effort to ban gas stoves for the environment, her housing plan that would eliminate local zoning, and her excessive mask mandates on children, to name a few, our concerns are well warranted. This has been a, quote, David versus Goliath fight from the beginning on many levels. Not surprising that the state, with its limitless resources, has effectuated a win this round. We will never stop fighting New Yorkers against government overreach, and so we will be appealing this calamitous decision to the Court of Appeals, our state's highest court, which is a court of constitutional integrity. And we are just lost the end of that sentence. Confident justice for New Yorkers. Okay. That's amazing. As far as I'm concerned, anybody under the sun has the standing to challenge something that might get them locked up anywhere at any time for willy-nilly reasons. So while we have Chuck Todd finger-wagging, shaming those unvaccinated bastards who have blood on their hands, you got Hochul regaining the right to issue rules that can result in arbitrary detention of people under the guise of COVID, which we had in Canada, by the way. Like, we had where the hell am I looking? We had government designated quarantine facilities. They were called GDQF in the lawsuits. We had government designated quarantine facilities. They converted hotels that were empty because the world was shut down. They converted undesignated, unspecified hotels into government designated quarantine facilities where they then whisked people off from airports, other locations for arbitrary, indefinite detention. There were stories of assaults of sexual natures at some of these government-designated quarantine facilities. People were locked in rooms for 2 weeks at a time sometimes. Oh, and then they had to pay for it under certain circumstances. Some people were not allowed to consult attorneys before being whisked off to these undesignated locations, unspecified locations. Other people weren't allowed to tell their spouses where they were being whisked off. There was a case, and I forget her name all the time in Canada, of a woman. She was a gospel singer. Whisked off to a government-designated quarantine facility, not allowed to tell her husband where she was going. And our courts declared it totally constitutional. No violation there. There was a itty-bitty little constitutional violation when you weren't allowed to get legal advice or consult counsel before being whisked off. But the government-designated quarantine facilities and being arbitrarily detained there did not violate our rights, our charter rights, according to a federal court in Canada. What trickles down, people, you should be paying very, very sharp attention to. Okay, good morning, everybody. It's still morning. I had to start this one early because, okay, my wife wakes me up. First of all, she wakes me up to feed the dog at 5:10 this morning because the dog, Pudge, is now, she doesn't have her room. She's got like the laundry room now. She's still whining at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's like, I say prison, like I hear, and then I go to the freezer, half asleep, get a frozen puck of beef out, open the door a crack, slap her food in there, drops on the ground, she eats it, I go back to bed. Then my wife wakes me up and says, the kids want to experience again Black Friday in America. It's like going to an amusement park. So they got out at 5:30 in the morning. I haven't seen them yet. We've got a couple of kids here, but when they come back, all hell is going to break loose in the house. So I had to start this one early. What do we have on the menu? We're going to talk Ireland, what's going on in Ireland, how the media frames everything. You know, the problem is not the problem. The problem is the reaction to the problem. That's how the media frames everything. Apply that mutatis mutandis to all crises in the world. The problem is not the original wrong. The problem is the response of the general population to the wrong that was the initial cause of the initial wrong. We're going to talk about Ireland. We are going to just touch a little bit on the recent developments of a ceasefire in Israel with Hamas. According to some, a ceasefire that lasted all of 15 minutes. But I'm going to highlight the reason to focus on these things and to watch what you tweet is that you cannot rely on anything anymore. You can't rely on original reports, initial reports. You can't rely on revised reports because the initial reports are going to be sketchy because details are coming in. The revised reports are going to be sketchy because details have come in. And so you have to literally piece together the initial reports with the revised reports with as much source material as you can find in order not to come to the truth, but in order to come to as close to the truth as humanly possible in an era where you cannot believe things that you see with your own eyes. And then, we're going to talk about the fun stuff. Judge Engelron, the DC case is appealing the gag order. I think they're appealing the stay of the gag order. Either way, the DC case is referencing the threats that Judge Engelron, the New York nipple judge, they're citing the alleged threats that he was getting in New York to argue for the reinstatement of a gag on Trump. And when you read through the document, it is... So first of all, everybody, let me just I won't do a poll. Do I look pale? I don't think I look pale. It might just be the lighting. I've got the window open, so I'm getting like actual sunlight in here, not just the white floodlight. I've done the standard disclaimers. For those of you who are new to the channel, I've been doing push-ups, 100 push-ups and 100 curls after my morning jog, but My parents said I look skinny, but I don't know if that's just because we haven't seen each other in a little while. New York Nipple Judge. That is his name. New York Nipple. Get your nipple on with Engoron. That's hashtag bonus. What was it called? Hold on. Only rely on ex-Montreal or ex-active lawyer with Sassoon hair. Oh, yeah, I'm no longer... Oh, God, it's weird. I no longer practice law. What was I saying? Oh, yeah, so those of you who don't know who I am. Former Montreal litigator turned Florida rumbler. And we start on YouTube, Rumble, and on our beautiful above-average community, vivabarneslaw.locals.com. In about 10 minutes after I cover one more story on YouTube, we're going to go over to the free speech platform. That is Rumble. I love Rumble. They deserve our eyes. They deserve our dollars. They deserve our attention. And they will grow. And they, hopefully, fingers crossed, hopefully one day we will speak of YouTube the way we speak of MySpace. And we will speak of Rumble the way we spoke of YouTube. Let that thing sink in there. So we're going to end in 10 minutes, go over to Rumble. After we're done with the full stream on Rumble, end that, go over for a little exclusive on vivabarneslaw.locals.com. To end the stream, I probably should, because I'm stupid and not always smart about showing this stuff. Oh, before we get into our second story of the day, vivafrei.com. If you want to get some merch, you might not want to walk around with a shirt that says Viva Frei, but you might, who knows? You can go to vivafrei.com and you can get Populism Fixes Everything, which is a response to our Politics Ruins Everything line of merch. You got Wanted for President, all the other good stuff. If you want to support the channel, you can get some merch, or you can go to vivabarneslaw.locals.com. $7 a month, $70 a year for a ton of exclusive stuff, although you just can be a member, a non-supporting member, and get tons of good stuff in our wonderful community there. Hold on a second. How dare you, Chuck Todd? Oh, Mr. Buttons, thank you very much. Okay, let me just see what we have in the lineup. There was something that fit in with the story of the day. We're going to get to the... No, maybe we're going to do the Dublin riots here. Okay, let's do this here. So the story of the day is that there are far-right riots in the streets of Ireland. And again now, details are coming in. You have to pay attention to the details that are coming in and be skeptical of them, but you also have to pay attention to and be skeptical of the details that are not coming in. You know, when there are certain, and I'm not saying this was a racially motivated crime. We don't know what it was yet. Well, I think there's strong indications of what it was, but you always have to weigh your words, and I'll show you why in a second. When there is the slightest indication of a narrative fitting racially motivated crime, there's an immediate release of information. There's an immediate framing of the narrative as relates to the media covering of the story. And it's relentless, and even if or when it is disproven, that narrative will long live beyond its having been disproven. Sometimes, when there's a strong reluctance to identify suspects, when there's a strong initial reflex to blame others or blame a response, while conveniently, specifically, or deliberately omitting certain key details, you need to be skeptical of that as well. And I genuinely believe, as we'll talk about with the Canadian border explosion before heading over to Nipple Judge Engoron on Rumble, I also genuinely believe that sometimes details are not released, specifically so the public goes wild with speculation. I believe this. Call me whatever you want. I don't care anymore. Out of Ireland, you gotta read the articles. They're framing a far-right riot in Ireland subsequent to an apparent knife attack that left, and I want to read it. I don't want to misframe it. After a knife attack, injured 5, including 3 children. I will read from the article. I forget which article it was, but it doesn't matter. Protesters and rioters clashed with police officers, and a police vehicle was set ablaze in Dublin, Ireland, Thursday evening, after a knife attack that injured 5, including 3 children. It's an amazing thing. A knife attack injured people. When there's a shooting or a violent assault that they can frame into a narrative, if they don't specifically identify the person, they don't abstractify the incident and just refer to it as a gun attack, a car attack, a knife attack. It was a man who attacked, and they'll fill in the blanks with racially charged motivating factors in their mind. When it's inconvenient to do so, when the story might run contrary to certain narratives that, desirable narratives, for lack of a better word, it becomes passive. Do you remember when, I don't remember his name and I don't care to remember his name, in Waukesha, plowed his car into a crowd, killing I forget how many people. And the way it was framed was like a vehicle just, what's the word? Was possessed. A vehicle ran into a crowd. A knife attack left people injured. It's like there's no human agency behind it. There's no human behind it. It's just like a possessed knife, a possessed car flying through and causing havoc. And you got to be very, very skeptical and very suspicious when you start reading articles framed like that. Come back to the article. According to Irish media outlets RT accent aigu, rioters attacked Gardaí, officers of the... So now, the focus is on rioters responding to a knife attack that injured 5, including 3 children. Interesting. Authorities said more than 400 officers, including many in riot gear, were deployed to contain the unrest, which they blamed on a, quote, small group of thugs. Can you imagine? You're in the wake now of a knife attack that left 5 people injured, including 3 kids, and the blame is on people violently rioting, or taking to the streets to protest what they understand to be the problem. Now, there might be scapegoating, there might be disinformation, they might be responding to details of the story that don't exist, haven't been released yet, or are factually incorrect. You don't know. But you can strongly suspect by the way the media is running hard cover for the alleged assailant, or running hard cover to blame the response on the classic far-right extremism, you can surmise what's going on here. And I just had to opine. It's an amazing thing that, it's Chief Wiggum out of The Simpsons over and over again. The law is, what did he say? The law is useless to help you, not hurt you. Marge Simpson said to Chief Wiggum, "You said the law was helpless to save me." "Oh, I said it couldn't help you. I didn't say it couldn't hurt you." So the Irish police can mobilize en masse to stop the response to a stabbing, but they can't mobilize en masse to make sure the streets are safe from knife attacks that leave people injured. My goodness, that's interesting. Why won't they identify the stabber? Again, this is the UK, and there are apparently unwritten policy rules that we noticed with the that skater guy, Petgrave. They wouldn't. Did they identify him yet? A man has been arrested charged with manslaughter in connection with the death of the hockey player Johnson, but they can't identify him. Well, because we don't know who the hell they're talking about. And I looked into it, and from what I understand, it's not law, it's police policy. There are exceptions, one of which I presume should be when everybody on earth saw what happened and knows who you're talking about. They won't identify the suspect here. Who knows why? And why are they attacking it? Why are they referring to it as a knife attack then? It's just the passive things. The knife went crazy. Apparently, from early reports, or at least people on the street, or at least people who are in the know, it's an Algerian, I don't know if illegal immigrant, legal immigrant, migrant, I don't know. But that is what the problem is here. That is what people are not specifying is the problem, that apparently, according to early reports, or at least reports that are not being suppressed, twisted, politically tailored to meet a narrative, apparently the attacker might be an Algerian migrant, immigrant, whatever. And what you see boiling up on the streets is Irish frustration with a problem that they have been identifying for years now, as has the rest of Europe, that is now coming to compromise the safety of the very people who were objecting to certain government policy that they felt was leaving them safe, had left them, leaving them unsafe, had left them unsafe, and might have resulted in this. But now you got to go. So you got to get your news sources from everywhere when you're doing this. So I go to Al Jazeera to see what Al Jazeera is reporting about this. Now, read everything with skepticism, and for all things that are holy, listen to my words with the requisite degree of skepticism. The one thing you can rest assured about at all times is that I will do my best and that I am honest. Now, I can't say that for other outlets that I read, and so you'll read certain outlets knowing that they are propaganda for certain regimes, that they have certain biases, overt. That doesn't mean you can't gain any useless doesn't mean you cannot gain any useful information from their otherwise partisan reporting. So go to Al Jazeera, see what Al Jazeera has to say about this. Dublin riots. What we know about the stabbing attack and clashes in Ireland. Violence breaks out in central Dublin after a knife attack injures children near school. Same passive framing. There's no agency. There's no human behind it. It's a knife attack. It's a car attack. It's an explosion. Okay. Protesters in Dublin fought with police, torched vehicles, and looted shops on Thursday after three... By the way, you might want to go look at the videos of the looters. You might want to see what that looks like. It's interesting that it's all pooled together here in one sort of group action. It might not be one group involved in all three of those things, or at least one distinct group. Go check that out. You might want to look at those videos. Al Jazeera. So protesters fought with police, torched vehicles, and looted shops on Thursday after 3 children were injured in a knife attack outside of a school. Here's what happened. 3 children were among 5 people injured on Thursday in a knife attack outside Gael School, Colasmere. I'm not trying to be funny. That's Gaelic and I can't read it. Gael School, Colasmere, a school for primary age children. They said it happened. A man in his 50s, attacked a number of people shortly after 1:30 Greenwich, what is that? Well, GMT. On Thursday, members of the public intervened at an early stage of the attack. Some brave people out there. The man suspected of being behind the attack was also injured and is under arrest. The police said they do not suspect the involvement of anyone else. That's great. Nobody's been identified yet. According to local reports, the attack happened as pupils emerged from the school. Could be a disgruntled father. Could be could be totally random. Could be something else. After the attack, listen to this. So you go. After the attack, violent unrest broke out just around 1800 whatever that GMT stands for, when a group of 50 anti-immigrant protesters briefly broke through a police barrier. What can you surmise from this? There was an attack at a school, after school, or when school's coming to an end. 4 hours later, local people, anti-immigrant protesters, start rioting. It's one of two things. Either the protesters know that because they live on the streets, they're there, they know what happened, that it was an immigrant who did this. Maybe their response is still unjustified, but they know that it was an immigrant who did this, and they're protesting that, or it's just some violent anti-immigrant groups looking for an excuse. Or there's disinformation, the rumors spread, and anti-immigrant groups started protesting. There's those 3 possibilities. Police blamed far-right agitators for starting the violence. I'm sorry, I thought I just heard that there was a knife attack that left 5 people, including 3 children, injured. But they're blaming far-right because the violence doesn't include the knife attack, right? The violence only includes the protests. Some shouted, "Get them out," and one kicked the wing mirror off a police car. Oh, won't someone think of the police vehicles? Vehicles were set alight and shops were looted. Police deployed more than 400, yada, yada. Ireland's police chief on Friday said 34 people were arrested. Of those, 32 will be appearing before courts this morning. I wonder if they're going to name those. Who was attacked? A 5-year-old girl was seriously hurt. A 5-year-old boy and a 6-year-old girl sustained less serious wounds. Boy's been discharged. A woman in her 30s was seriously injured. In a video statement on social media, Chief Superintendent Patrick McMenamin said some members of the police force were attacked and assaulted, but there were no serious reports. Superintendent Liam Garrity confirmed reports of a knife was used in the attack, but said he couldn't provide more details. Okay. Who was behind the attack in Dublin? A lunatic. Who was behind the attack in Dublin? Police said the unrest. Can you believe the framing of this? Sorry, I thought they meant the attack on the children, not the riots, not the response to that attack. Police said the unrest was driven by a lunatic hooligan faction driven by far-right ideology and warned against misinformation. You know what the solution to misinformation is? Releasing the bloody information. Who was the alleged attacker? It's very easy to either quell those concerns or to provide the information which, though true, might not support the response of those protests. It's very easy. But all that to say, fog of war. You have to be careful what you're tweeting, what you're retweeting, and what you're believing. You can form a belief that will be wrong, and it's going to be a lot harder to undo that belief in your own ego than it would be just to say, here, all of the things that are possible, give me additional information to eliminate the possibilities. Oh. And the best example of that, I mean, moving on from there, we'll see what the details are, but I know what I believe. I know what I think. I know that there are other possibilities. It could be a deranged, unhinged individual who has nothing to do. It could be a traditional Irish last name, and in which case everyone's going to say, well, then the response was displaced to this incident, but represents another broader underlying social problem. May be true. The name could be a migrant, immigrant, foreigner, totally unrelated to any sort of motivated attack that will that will explain the response, though not justify it. Or it could, in fact, be exactly what the response of those rioters is motivated by. We'll see. Oh, now hold on one second. But though, when I was talking about being careful as to what you tweet out, when I was on the Unusual Suspects on Wednesday. Hold on one second. Did I tried? Hopefully, I published this video. When I was on the Unusual Suspects on Wednesday with Vinny Oshana, and we were talking about the breaking news of Wednesday, and it was an alleged terrorist attack at the border. Oh, hold on one second. I hear somebody. It was an alleged terror attack at the border of Canada. People saying we're under attack, shut the border. And when we went on live at 3:30, I'm like, oh my goodness, people. Some people are saying it's a terror attack heading to New York for the Macy's Thanksgiving parade. Others are saying the car was going from the States to Canada. Others are saying there were explosive found in the car. Others were saying no explosives. It was just a car accident. I'd like to say that being, circumspect, mildly skeptical is the best thing. And look, not to toot my own horn, but I'm gonna.
Some late-breaking news. The Rainbow Bridge car explosion. There was a car that blew up in New York. Apparently, allegedly, the reports, what do we say?
Say apparently, allegedly.
Well, because the reports have been now that it was a terrorist attack, confirmed, according to Fox News. Allegedly, the car was going up to Canada. Other reports have the car going from Canada to the States.
Yeah.
A report now just said it might not have been, or at least a report Andy No on Twitter said it might not have been. This is as of, 3:30 this afternoon.
Yeah.
So 16 minutes ago, Andy No was saying it might not even be a terrorist attack. It could have been somebody just driving recklessly and crashed their car.
But we
didn't say that.
So we have to always carefully use our words. So it's a possible attempted, maybe terror.
You could tell I had been discussing with Vinny before we went live. I was like, possibly, maybe an alleged potential terror. Okay, here.
Attack because New York. Go ahead.
It might not have been an explosion. It might have been a Tesla battery.
You never know.
Don't want to get sued by Elon. But
Yeah.
Spoiler alert: the car ended up being a Bentley, but we'll get there.
Late breaking.
Oh no, I don't want to start from there.
To stop going after January 6 people, so they did this, which is crazy.
By Elon. But
Yeah. So, but from what they're reporting, it exploded at a checkpoint on Niagara Falls, connecting U.S. and Canada, killing 2 occupants. The FBI is investigating the blast. I'm shocked they had time to stop going after January 6 people, so they did this, which is crazy. The car was heading into the U.S. This is the New York Post, by the way. Hit a barrier near the checkpoint around 11:15 a.m. on the Rainbow Bridge, breaking into several pieces. The 2 occupants were killed. They're not identified, and one of the border patrol agents was injured as well. And the car was allegedly going 100 miles an hour when it crashed.
That's a bad sign. Now, Fox News had reported explosives were in the vehicle at the time. The 2 who were in the car are dead.
So Fox News reported explosives were in the vehicle, were identified in the vehicle. And they've also called the 2024 election for Arizona.
Sources told sources. The vehicle was driving from the U.S. to Canada and were attempting to drive toward the border.
Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe they're turning around.
So who knows?
Who knows? is a word that we should use more often before retweeting information that might be disinformation that might itself cause panic. Because apparently, let me just see if I can find the article here. Then we're going to get to some super chats. Then we're going to move over. Do I have the article about the Rainbow Bridge explosion? Here we go. This is now, at least information is in. This was updated 17 minutes ago. It wasn't a Tesla. It was a Bentley. And I don't want to make light of the fact that 2 people died in this. I mean, I posted the slow-mo it was a Dukes of Hazzard level car crash. Rainbow Bridge explosion, possible cause revealed. Unidentified New York man and his wife's Bentley may have suffered mechanical failure as it approached the Niagara Falls crossing. Man, I'll tell you what, I drove somewhere with my dad yesterday in our Jeep, and he was like, this car doesn't feel safe. I was like, this car is awesome. A Bentley. Yeah, spend all that money on a Bentley, and then it malfunctions to I don't know what kind of malfunction can result in that, but smart cars, I mean, I like smart cars, but I don't know that was a smart car issue. Cause of Wednesday's explosion remains something of a mystery, with investigators now probing whether a mechanical failure could be to blame. Hochul, for whatever her word is worth, has now said no indication of terrorism. Let's see here. The mayor of Niagara Falls told the New York Times that the Bentley the couple was driving was an older model and may have experienced some sort of mechanical glitch that caused it to suddenly accelerate as it approached the border checkpoint. I would go with medical emergency of the driver, heart attack, some sort of, I don't know, seizure that causes him to accelerate. I would go with that over, I don't know, what kind of technical failure can cause your car to accelerate to 100 miles an hour where you wouldn't jack the parking brake to slow it down? I don't even know if that would work, actually. Dramatic footage captured the edit. The blast instantly sparked fears of a terrorist attack, but New York Governor Kathy Hochul and the FBI, for whatever they can be trusted for, said no sign of terrorist activity. Instead, law enforcement sources told CNN that the victims were a local New York man and his wife, who have not been named, who were planning to attend a KISS concert in Canada on Wednesday night. The gig was canceled, and so they stopped by the Seneca Niagara Resort and Casino before the vehicle made the ill-fated trip towards the border crossing. Well, I gotta tell you something. Everyone who posted something wildly panic-inducing, you can't take that back. And I do wonder if some people are going to say, "Oh, it was parody, it was satire. I didn't really mean it literally." It's a big problem when you actually. I think those types of things are discrediting in a meaningful sense, and that's why people should just wait. I mean, you don't need to be being first and wrong is useless. Being second and wrong, but less wrong, is also useless. Being third, fourth, and fifth, but being right, or at least being accurate, priceless. Write that down. Okay, the link to Rumble is there. Before we head over there, I'm going to do these super chats. We got this one. Joaquin Learned, I hope you didn't mean to do 3 of these, but thank you. And then we got Joaquin. Stop. Okay. If you want to do the support, thank you. I'm gonna go look for comments because maybe you're having trouble putting in a comment that you wanted to put in. I'm gonna go look in the chat. He's from North Africa. They won't release the last name. Says Melkor. I haven't seen that. I've been Googling, refreshing, and looking at sources. When it's confirmed, I'm not a journalist. I'm an analyst. I'm a commentator. Now I do want to get the Rumble rants before we go over to the Rumbles. There's only one, so it'll be easy. Let's see here. Besides everything else, I want to know. Hold on. Skip and freeze. Okay, there you go. Besides everything else, I want to know if you like jelly or whole cranberries. It's an argument every year. I don't like turkey. And I don't like cranberries at all. What I love are capers. Capers on everything. Okay, we're going to remove that. So that is the intro. A little longer than normal. We're going to come over to Rumble. We're going to talk about New York nipple judge Engeron, the alleged threats he's receiving as a basis to gag Trump, and a ton of other fantastic stuff. That's Rumble. I'll give everybody the locals. I should have made sure that we're good on locals. We're good on locals. Holy cows. We got 176 people watching on locals. That's beautiful. Locals was privy to my activities yesterday. My father, I think, got jealous. The link to locals is there. I think my father got jealous seeing me carrying those 2 beautiful mahi-mahis and having gone fishing with my kids. So he wanted to do what we, could have done more of when we were. That sounded very bitter and resentful. It's not at all. I think my dad got jealous seeing me fish with my kids. So he took me out yesterday and we caught a bunch of mahi-mahi, a few kingfish, and a few tuna, that my kid actually ate raw tuna off the fish the same day, and it was delicious. And tonight we're going to have a good barbecue with some fresh mahi-mahi on the grill. All that to say, we're going to go over to Rumble. Right now, the link is pinned in the pinned comment. Please tell me it's pinned in the pinned comment. It is. It is. Okay, good. So come on over to Rumble for the rest of the stream. It's going to be amazing. VivaBarnesLaw.locals.com as well. Ending on YouTube in 5. By the way, before we do that, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. But I'll give my thoughtful Thanksgiving wishes at the end of this stream. But for everybody watching on YouTube, happy Thanksgiving. But come on over to Rumble. 5, 4, 3, now. Okay, let's just make sure that we're good here. Are we good? We're good. Someone says, ew, capers. Oh, T. Rooney? No, dude, get used to capers. They're delicious. Capers on Carpaccio, says Liquor Giant. Yes. I've been putting capers in my martinis instead of olives. A little bit of salt, a little bit of spice, but also capers rolled up into smoked salmon. Ooh, Okay, we're good. And there's another rumble rant. I'm not your buddy guy. My question is, who was in the vehicle? There are 3 options in order of likelihood of vehicle malfunction: died suddenly, health, or intentional puppeting vehicle by intel agency. Oh, hold on, I'll bring this up so everybody can see this. There's that too. And it's also not to say that they might have driven the vehicle deliberately and whatever. It's also not to say, this is why you can't trust anything. It could be the FBI and Hochul now don't want to cause a panic. It's Thanksgiving week. All right. Only 2 of them died. Those explosives, it was a lithium battery. We made a mistake. I would like to hear their name, but if they're 75, 80 years old, they're heading to a casino, I can picture medical emergencies. I can also picture driving a Bentley. If they're 36-year-old young whippersnappers driving a Bentley, I can come up with other possibilities as well. So good point. I'm not your buddy guy, and duly noted. Now let me slide my thing here. Have I showed everybody my turtle? Oh. I've showed it. I love this thing. This is the best fossil I've ever gotten after the meteorites. It's like looking at a hollowed out turtle. 23 to 33 million years old. Doesn't smell like anything. Oh. Procured at the 56th annual West Palm Beach Gem and Rock Show. All right, what do we talk about now? Hold on, let me share screen. Let me see what the other stories are that we have. All right, now we're going to get into Nipple Judge Engeron and the request to gag. Oh, I didn't show my homework for this. This is the mystery pneumonia tears through schools in China with many, many hospitalized, in eerie echo of the days of COVID. Who knows? Early reports. Haven't seen any videos of people dropping dead and, like teachers giving Zoom classes and dropping dead from COVID in a while. Haven't seen those in a while. Haven't heard any stories of deathbed, what are they called? Not when you recant on your deathbed confessions that individuals wished they had gotten the jab. I don't hear any more of those. Don't see videos of people collapsing in the streets, police blow-torching door. You don't see those videos anymore. It's weird, how that just came right at a time when the powers that be were trying to traumatize a nation into abandoning their most basic civil rights and liberties because they might die on a Zoom call teaching a class because of COVID. Don't see that anymore. Okay, so the latest filing, it's just so beautiful. Now let me see here. I'm getting confused because of all the jurisdictions here. This is the argument in Jack Smith's DC case about the gag order, and they are citing as evidence, from what I understand, and I hope I'm not getting this wrong, in the DC appeals of the gag order argument, dispute, litigation, aspect of the DC prosecution from Jack Smith, they're citing the threats that New York nipple judge Engeron is getting in that case. And this is the filing. It came out on November 23rd, yesterday. Man, you go fishing for one day and you miss everything. Oh, I hope I'll be able to understand who the players are in the drafting of this, but we got this is a letter dated November 23rd, yesterday, to the special counsel's office. Mark J. Langer, clerk, U.S. Court of Appeals. Okay. Dear Mr. Langer, the government submits this letter pursuant to Federal Rule of Appellate Procedure 28J to notify the court of a document filed on November 22, 2023, the day before, in connection with the appeal of an order imposed in New York versus Trump, which was referenced in the party's briefing. Okay, so they're in the appeals process in D.C., and they're referencing, or they're filing the exhibit of something that was referenced in a prior letter. So they're providing the documents to the court. And we're going to see what is in there. This is amazing. Oh, God, hold on. Let's see. Reply at 2-9 and arises out of an incident that the district court discussed in the October 16, 2023 hearing. Specifically, the government refers to the court to Exhibit E. We're going to pay a lot of attention to this. To the attached affidavit, which is a sworn affirmation by an employee of the New York State Unified Court System assigned to the Judicial Threats Assessment Unit, discussing the defendant's October 3, 2023 social media post, which, quote, resulted in hundreds of threatening and harassing voicemail messages that have been transcribed into over 275 single-spaced pages. Oh. Because the parties referenced this matter in their briefs, and the court inquired at oral argument about evidence of ongoing threats and harassment, the government respectfully submits Exhibit E and the related documents for completeness as a supplemental authority. Okay, so procedural stuff. We reference the document at a hearing, and we want to supply it to the court so they have the 275 pages, single space. That's how crazy this is. And we're going to get to it. So this is the letter itself. We're going to skip all of this. Are we going to skip all of this? Hold on. Okay. Affirmation and opposition. And we'll just see what this is. Lisa M. Evans, an attorney duly admitted to the practice before the courts of the state of New York, affirms, I'm the deputy counsel in the Office of Court Administration of the New York State Court. I am counsel of Dave. Now, from what I understand, also having listened to Robert Gouveia, because I'm a Canadian Quebec civil litigator. I never did criminal and am not certified anywhere in the States. I sometimes have trouble understanding what the hell I'm reading as well, and I try to make sense of it to myself. And if I can make sense of it to myself by listening to, if people aren't smarter than me, at the very least, they have more experience and I can pick their brains for what's useful. Gouveia highlighted that there's an interesting potential conflict of interest here in that the person signing this affidavit, it's unclear as to who exactly she's representing. Lisa, who she is representing in signing this. Deputy counsel in the Office of the Court Administration of New York, okay, and counsel to David Nocenti, attorney for Justice Arthur F. Engeron, a justice of the Supreme Court of New York. He's the one who's allegedly getting the threats. So Lord knows who this person is acting for and on behalf by filing this affidavit, but the long and short of it is we're getting threats. Based on the foregoing, yada, 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 it is respectfully requested the petitioner's application for a stay of the gag order and sanctions imposed for violating the court's order be denied. They want to stay the gag order, which I thought got stayed already, at least in New York, by the higher level court. And that's it. So now, don't know who that person's representing, but it'd be really funny if that affiant is, representing Judge Engeron and saying Judge Engeron's getting threats and he wants this gag order to stay in effect. This gag order, or he wants further gag orders to be implemented because he's getting threats and harassment and doesn't like it. And it's because of, as he says, Trump's posting on Truth, and not as a result of what the judge is doing in this case. Go to Exhibit E, because that's the important one, or at least the interesting one. Exhibit E. Okay, so here, what do we have here? Supreme Court of the State of New York, Appellate Division, First Judicial Department, in the matter of Trump petitioners versus Arthur Engeron. Charles Holland, who is not a party to the action, affirms the following to be true under penalty of perjury. I am employed by the New York State Unified Court System as a court officer captain in the Department of Public Safety. I am assigned to the Judicial Threats Department units. As such, I am familiar with threats, disparaging comments, and harassing messages. By the way, harassing messages doesn't necessarily refer to criminal harassment, and certainly does not refer to criminal threats. Harassing can be subjective. You don't stop calling. That's what block is for. Also preface this. Well, I'm gonna end this by saying why people should not be doing this and why I firmly believe that anybody engaging in this type of harassing, threatening conduct is actually Fed posting, because they have to know damn well by doing it, not only is it counterproductive, not only is it illegal, but it's exactly what they want to happen. So they can then say things like this: we're getting threatening messages and we need Trump to be gagged, because that'll solve the problem. Okay, so the threatening messages made to Engoron and his staff via emails, telephone, social, yada, yada. I'm also aware of the personal emails and cell phone number of Allison Greenfield. That's the principal law clerk, or as she likes to call herself, the co-judge. Or as other people like to call him, the GF, the judge's GF, Greenfield, girlfriend. And it's very funny. There's so many things here. Govea, I think, goes with areola judge. I'm going with New York nipple judge, or hashtag bonus torso photo. Geez, he couldn't be getting harassing, threatening emails, messages, whatever, because he's posting semi-nudes on his high school alumni website. He couldn't be getting harassing emails and voicemails, calling him all sorts of names, because he's boasting to his alumni, posting links to all of his rulings that are really sticking it to Eric Trump. No, it's because Trump puts out on Truth Social his own First Amendment rights. Okay, so we got here, Greenfield's number has been compromised. I make this affirmation in petitioner's request for a stay of the enforcement of the limited gag order. So this is all like sort of, they are petitioner's request for a stay of the enforcement of the gag order. So the stay would be to pause the gag order. That's petitioner asking to pause the gag order, and they have the opposition. So they don't want petitioner to succeed on their request to pause the gag order. That makes sense of it. The DPS provides security services at every New York State courthouse to ensure the safety and security of judges, non-judicial personnel, yada, yada. Once a judicial threat has been reported, because it's illegal to make threats, people. It's illegal. And if January 6th has showed you something, even for the wrong reasons, it's that they'll find you. So don't do it. Hell, they'll find you even if you didn't do it. If you do it, they're going to find you. And if they find you and they don't do anything with you, fed is what I'll think. Once a judicial threat has been reported, court administration, local law enforcement, and court staff are notified by trained, uniformed personnel that a threat exists. After a reported threat is carefully analyzed and is determined to be credible, security measures are put in place to ensure the safety of the judge, the judge's staff, and family members. Okay, I thought this should be in place all the time. Prior to the commencement of the trial in the underlying matter, that's New York, Judicial Threats Unit became aware of harassing and disparaging comments. Disparaging comments? Is New York nipple judge a disparaging comment? And threats may, oh, it's definitely not a threat, because I don't threaten, and nor should you. They will catch you, and they will throw the full book of the law at you, and if they don't, it's because you're a Fed and you're Fed posting. All right, towards Engoron. Once we conducted assessments, we found of the threats credible. We contacted law enforcement, the FBI, Homeland Security to devise the appropriate security measures that would be implemented in order to protect the judge, his chamber staff, and those closely associated with him. Listen to this. This is where it gets very, very interesting. On or after October 3, 2023, the threats, harassments, and disparaging comments increased exponentially. That's only from the baseline in that case. I would love to know, I don't know, Engoron, in his speech once upon a time, was boasting about, or at least observing, how he's only ever done civil trials. I don't know how many threats he got in a civil trial, but I would imagine you pursue the cartel, you prosecute the cartel or some of the organized crime gangs and whatnot, you'll get threats all the time. So maybe Engoron, in his civil cases where he's been abusing of the tools he has to screw litigants, but they didn't have the means to raise any sort of awareness about it. Maybe he never got these types of threats, although I suspect as a judge, he did get these. Heck, as a lawyer, I got threats. You're literally dedicating your life to screwing the other party, rightly or wrongly. You're going to make enemies. Anyways, where was I? Okay, so on October, the threats, they got worse. Trump posted to his social, so what do we say here? Specifically, they can pinpoint it to one specific post. On October 3, 2023, Trump posted on his social media a picture of Allison Greenfield with the United States Chuck Schumer with the added caption, "Schumer's girlfriend, Allison R. Greenfield, is running this case against me. How disgraceful. This case should be dismissed immediately." Can you imagine? Let me state the obvious here. Greenfield herself posted that picture on her social media, unless I'm mistaken. Oh, I hope I'm not mistaken, but I'm not. She posted the picture herself. She said, "Hey, world, look at me." Trump just obliged. He says, "Hey, world, look at her." And they want to use this as the pretext to gag Trump and to prevent him from First Amendment rights in which he expresses this sentiment verbatim, Schumer's girlfriend, oh, that's terrible harassment. That's going to ridicule and disparage the court. It's clearly going to lead to threats. Girlfriend. Allison R. Greenfield. Maybe it's because he provided her full name. She's a clerk of the court. She donated to political contributions to political campaigns. She openly endorsed Leticia James. I believe she referred to herself as co-judge. She ran for judgeship, I think, if I'm not mistaken. She's made herself a public figure above and beyond the fact that she works for the state. If saying someone's full name is a threat, well, my goodness, there's some people on Twitter that I can go after. By the way, my full name is David Andrew Freiheit, which means freedom in German. Allison R. Greenfield is running the case against me. There's how disgraceful. This case should be dismissed immediately. Nothing wrong with that post whatsoever. Although Trump did not directly threaten Miss Greenfield, he didn't indirectly threaten. He didn't, under some bastardized interpretation of words, directly, indirectly, subconsciously, dog-whistlingly do anything. What he did right there, he called her a name, the girlfriend of, did he say Chuck Schumer or the girlfriend of Engoron? Schumer's girlfriend. Oh, he didn't even say Engoron's girlfriend. Although he didn't directly threaten her, this post, the comments made in his post resulted in hundreds of threatening and harassing voicemails and messages that have been transcribed. So Trump posts something that cannot be misconstrued as a threat unless you are mentally deficient. Man, I can't wait for the world to bring back a certain word which is apropos to all of this. It cannot be misconstrued as being a threat, dog whistle, call to action unless you are mentally unhinged, mentally deficient. But because you got shit talkers and Fed posters on the internet who then go into the comment section and say, we should really do something stupid. We should go to the Capitol. That's where our problems lie. Because you get idiot shit posters and Fed posters who go in and comment. Now they then get to say, though this post is a totally innocuous, absolutely acceptable post, because people made nasty comments in there, we got to gag Trump. That's the basis of it. Understand that. Punish a man for what bad players do. It's amazing. Greenfield's personal information, including her personal cell phone number and personal email addresses, have also been compromised, resulting in daily doxing. I mean, it's bad and nobody should be accessing personal emails and personal numbers, but can we have evidence that it wasn't already public material? That it wasn't, like on her Facebook page or in her Twitter profile? I don't know if she has one anymore. Change your number. I mean, it's not the most convenient thing to do in the world. Change your number. Joe Rogan changes his number, what do you say, once a week, once a month? Change your number. It's an inconvenience. It's bad. Change your number. Don't give your number out. And unfortunately, that shit happens. It just happens, especially when you're a public figure, and especially when you are one who people think are trying to unconstitutionally screw the next president out of becoming president and unconstitutionally interfere with elections. You don't like it? Those are the risks, unfortunately. I'm not talking about threats and harassment and violence. Having your email doxed, your cell phone number, those are unfortunately the risks of the industry. She's been subjected to on a daily basis harassing, disparaging comment and anti-Semitic tropes. Oh, well, you knew it was going there. Because Judge Engoron is Jewish, Allison Greenfield is Jewish, Chuck Schumer is Jewish. You knew it was going there. Oh no! So we're gonna gag Trump because some people out there make anti-Semitic tropes against Greenfield, who happens to be Jewish. My goodness! You get to gag people for anti-Semitic tropes? We're gonna silence the internet for a very long time. Oh, let's see here. I've been informed that Ms. Greenfield, that she has been receiving approximately 20 to 30 calls per day. I once was receiving 20 to 30 calls from one client daily. Oh, it was it was indeed upsetting and distressing. Approximately 30 to 50 messages per day combined sites of social media. She's only receiving 30 to 50 messages per day on combined? Oh my goodness. Not that libs of TikTok and Chaya Raychik are like, what you want to measure by. What's his, Matt Walsh, Ben Shapiro. freaking started. Oh my God, 30 to 50 messages combined on social media. Oh my goodness, the horror. LinkedIn and 2 personal email addresses. Greenfield also informed me that the interim stay was. Greenfield also informed me that since the interim stay was issued, what the heck is my reading problem here? Interim stay was issued, lifting the gag orders on November 16. Approximately half of the harassing discussions have been anti-Semitic. Oh, you know what's really going to quell those anti-Semitic messages that she's receiving? If you gag the leading candidate to the presidency because somebody somewhere out there is receiving anti-Semitic, allegedly anti-Semitic DMs and messages. That will surely quell the barrage of any anti-Semitic messages that she's getting. Hold on a second, the dog is barking. Come on, get in, let's go. Oh, you know what the reality is, people? Oh, God, hold on a second. You know what the reality is? They know damn well that by doing what they're doing, they are going to exacerbate the problem. But merely by putting these words on paper, they're going to exacerbate the problem. They know they're going to exacerbate the problem. And then when Alison Greenfield starts getting more nasty messages, social media posts, DMs, because they're trying to gag the president, they're going to say, look how bad it's getting now. Now we got to double gag him, triple. They know they are making the problem worse, but they revel in the existence of the problem. They don't want to solve it whatsoever. How much of this would be happening if they never unconstitutionally and abusively gagged Trump in the first place? Who knows? And do the messages become more prolific when Trump posts to Truth Social, or when they issue gag orders, or when they issue filings trying to gag him? I know which way I would bet on that. Judges who receive threats are advised to not make public statements discussing the threats or any security measures that may be in place, yada, yada, yada. The threats against Justice Engron, Mr. Greenfield, are considered to be serious and credible and not hyperbolic or speculative. Which ones? We're going to get into them because you got to read them. In order to provide this court with the seriousness of the threats being made against Justice Engron, below is a representative sample of the hundreds of threats. By the way, no, what we're going to read is not a representative sample. It's the worst of the worst. And if it's not the worst of the worst, it should be the worst of the worst, because if they had worse, they would put it in here for public consumption. So what you're going to see here is, by all accounts, and probably the worst of the worst. Some of it's bad. Some of it's objectively illegal, I believe. Hashtag not legal advice. If it's illegal or even borderline, expect a visit. They'll raid you in Alaska, people. So don't do it. And if you're doing it, know that you're making the problem worse. Know that you're giving the Greenfields, the Engerons, the fodder to say, woe is me, I'm the victim for violating Trump's constitutional rights. Let them do it. Put them on blast for doing it. Criticize them for doing it. Mock them for doing it. Don't threaten them. Don't get close to that line, because they will come knock at your door. Maybe they won't even knock at your door. They'll pull a Roger Stone 6 a.m. raid. They'll bust your door down. They'll seize your computers. They'll arrest you. They will do it. And if they don't do it to you, it's probably because you're a Fed or a Fed poster. Knowing what you're doing is creating the fodder so they can continue to ask the courts to violate Trump's constitutional rights and interfere with the elections. You're contributing to that by doing illegal stuff. Okay. With that caveat out of the way, we got this preventative message, the daily threats directed to staff. The following are transcriptions of voicemail messages left on Engeron Chambers' telephone. So the Chambers telephone, I don't believe, is a private number. In fact, I'm fairly certain it would be a public number. And we're going to read through these. And if you're sensitive to swear words, and from some of the DMs that I get, some of our viewers are sensitive to swear words. And I say, if the worst thing I do is swear, and if that's the biggest fault that anybody has with me, too bad. I swear every now and again. We're going to swear today. I don't know if I can even decipher what these swear words are. I think the stars represent the number of letters, so we can probably decipher this. But we're going to read some of these because they're classic. They're classic in that, on the one hand, don't give them fodder. Don't expose yourself to being arrested, because you will be. And we've seen this case with Judge Cannon, Judge Chutkin. People are getting arrested. They're going to get convicted. They're going to go to jail for a long time for doing stupid things. Flip side, don't give them the fodder to cry, woe is me, I'm the victim, while they are the ones victimizing not just Trump, but the process and the system as a whole. Okay, crack our knuckles. Oh, yeah. Oh, I love. Well, are we going to go through all of these? We can do it. We can do a few of them. Okay, I can read fast. The following are transcriptions of voicemail left on Justice Engoron's Chambers phone. You notice they're going to harp on the anti-Semitic one here because that's a low-hanging fruit when people want to divert, deflect their victimizing others to their being victims. Is you're going to say, look, I'm just applying the law, and now people are, what is it called? Hurling anti-Semitic tropes. Okay. A, exhibit. You know, I'm not going to call you too many names. Today, I mean, it's clear. This is one of the transcriptions of one of the voicemails. You're your little fruitcake. You like to abuse children, I'm sure. And your shirtless picture, very inappropriate. I mean, you're so inappropriate, but you're clearly a effing dork. Let me see, F-U-C-K-I-N-G. So that's probably the F word. Massive quant. I don't know what quant is. If anybody knows in the chat, what the hell is a quant? I mean, everything about you screams little F word as in the dork. So again, I hope they effing bury your ugly ass, okay? Oh, well, I mean, that's going to happen to all of us. Thus far, I haven't seen any actual threat. I've seen some ugly words. And you and that fat... F-U-C-K-I-N-G-W-H-O-R-E. I don't even know what the... I can't even decipher what the swear words were. This is like, ad-libs. This is like ad-libs when we used to play when we were kids. Okay, so I can't even decipher. You and that fat effing something Planet of the Apes something star Letitia. They're talking about Letitia. I thought they were talking about Greenfield here. Letitia and the blank little blank Jews and filthy little Jews, and that's you. And I hate that word. I hate putting people under group, but you are filthy little Jews, and and you make everything about this. You make everything about this swear word. You swear word, hateful, divisive. I mean, honestly, you should be assassinated. Okay, that's a problem right there. You should be killed. That's a problem right there. Now, I know people are going to get into the, what was it, the one there, the quintessential, is it direct and immediate, identifying a person, direct and immediate incitement to lawlessness. I want to say Ohio. I'm not saying I'm going to do it. I'm not saying someone should do it. I'm saying it should be done. Look, I will never make that argument. This is bad. This is, I imagine would be declared illegal. I imagine. Canadian Quebec civil attorney, former, by no means American criminal attorney. But you should be assassinated. You should be killed. You should be not assassinated, executed. You should be executed. This sounds like a very, very normal voicemail to be leaving. By the way, do they have the guy's telephone number? They're going to, if this is not a Fed, this person will get arrested. But on trial, but now they're qualifying it. You shouldn't be executed or assassinated. I take that back. You should be executed for your crimes on trial. So now, is this a threat for violence, or is this a threat to go to trial and then get executed? I don't know what crime he could have committed that execution would be the punishment. Okay, fine. You sick effing pig. Oh, okay. Let me see here. Abuse this system. We're gonna fast forward and play this for the FBI, and you can all go F yourselves, you little effers. Please call me, you effing loser, effing stupid. I mean, it's clear. I've talked to a bunch of you, effer, blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. Then we go to B. Certainly not going to have kids coming into this room during the... Hold on one second. Got to make sure people be quiet. Okay, B. We got, yes, Arthur, you are a corrupt Nazi and one of the ugliest people to ever walk the face of the earth. And your clerk, who's also a corrupt Nazi, is a fat bitch, I think that's what it is, who blew Chuck Schumer, and everybody knows it. You are such a lowlife. No one would ever want to sleep with you. You look like probably shit. You're corrupt. You're going to get overturned, and I hope you get gonorrhea from Letitia James. Okay. That's mean. There's nothing illegal in this B. B thus far is actually, mildly funny. The idea of calling Jews Nazis is the shock value wore off a long time ago. And by the way, do I get to claim threats every time I get called Nazi on Twitter? Because I've been called Nazi on Twitter more times than I can count. I don't really receive this many DMs like this, but you get the occasional one. All right, C. Resign now, you dirty, treasonous piece of trash snake. We are going to get you and any one of you dirty, backstabbing, lying, cheating American. You are nothing but a bunch of communists. We are coming to remove you permanently. Ominous. I do wonder if that would meet the threshold for actual threats under the law, but that's not something I, don't message that, even if you think you've got a legal defense. D, trust me when I say this, I will come for you. I don't care. Ain't nobody going to stop me either. I'll send every hacker in the world after every little file on you, and they will expose you. Any little dirty secret you have, you will not hide from me. I do not stand with Joseph Biden or what you are doing. I stand with the 12 houses of Israel, and in God we trust is the American way. No, the blood runs red. Okay, there's going to be, well, let's see this one. They've got a lot of stars on this one for those who are listening. Do you think being a judge, this is item E, changes the fact that you're a pathetic little, I think that might be the 6-letter F word. You little effing dork with your little effing Jew girl. Something helper, something here. I don't even know what these words mean. God, I hope you effing die. I hope they come for you and string you up. All you little what? Oh, okay. Then it goes on. And I love Jewish people, but there's dirty Jews like you. Just like there's dumb. I love black people, but you know what? You guys make it all about identity, and you know what dirty Jews. Okay, so I guess we can stop. I'll give everybody the same here. And we got a lot of asterisks. The messages received, we're back to the actual affidavit. So yeah, people, there are a lot of people who do this because they've got nothing else to do, mentally unwell people, legit angry people, Fed posters out there who do this. Don't do it. The messages received by Engron and his staff every day has created an ongoing security risk. What does this have to do with Trump? Nothing. The implementation of limited gag orders resulted in a decrease in the number of threats, harassment. I'd like to see that. I'd like to see that evidence. I say lie. I call bullcrap on you. However, when Trump violated the gag orders, the number of threatening harassment. Oh, really? Do you know what's acutely missing from all of these? Date and time. Date and time. Date and time. Okay. That's it. On a daily basis, the judge and staff are being inundated with harassment. Oh, but on a daily basis? But I thought, but they're not as bad when the gag order's in effect. Bull shizzle. Bull crap. They're not just as bad. Guaranteed they are. Date and time, show us the evidence. You've made the allegations now. In Canada, at least under Quebec law, when someone files an affidavit, you would get to depose the affiant. You get to ask for the documents, question on the allegations in the affidavit. Not broader stuff. They filed an affidavit in support of a motion. You get to question the affiant on the substance of that affidavit. Okay, get that person and question them on that affidavit. If such a procedure exists, I think this is going to be in D.C. Date and time of those messages. Give us the numbers. I'd like to see who they're coming from. Have any arrests been made? Because bottom line, they want to gag Trump to prohibit conduct that's already illegal. And not in any practical sense. It's already illegal. Here's one. Trump supporter arrested for threatening to kill Trump's trial judge. Oh. A Texas woman has been charged with threatening the life of the judge, Chutkan. If Trump doesn't get elected in 2024, we are coming to... Okay. Abigail Jo Schrei is accused of calling Judge Chutkan in chambers and leaving the voicemails. Hey, you... Okay, I'm not reading any of that. So she got arrested. And Judge Cannon was getting threats. It's not just the anti-Trump judges, or let me rephrase this. It's not just the politically corrupt hack judges who are anti-Trump. It's others. Here, Texas woman. Why are they coming from Texas? Texas woman charged with threatening judge who approved Trump's special master request. This one was back in the day, 2022. A Houston woman is facing federal charges for allegedly threatening Judge Aileen Cannon, the federal judge who approved the appointment of special master to review the items seized by the FBI. Cannon is the one who's in. It's an amazing thing. Like you can't avoid the harassment, the critique, whatever you do. Aileen Cannon right now is getting it on both sides. Once upon a time, she got dumped on because she was doing things that people thought were anti-Trump, and now she's getting ragged on by all of the lefties who think that she's a pro-Trump judge that's politically biased and shouldn't be adjudicating in the Florida case. Hold on a second. Florida Trump indictment. Aileen. I'm just going to make sure I'm not getting mistaken. Okay, good. It is Cannon. Cannon's. It's got to get mixed up. You got Cannon in Florida on the Mar-a-Lago documents. You got Chutkan in D.C. You got Engoron in New York. You got, I don't know who the judge is in the Alvin Bragg prosecution. You got Wallace in Georgia. Yes, Wallace in Georgia. Or was it Wallace in Colorado? I forget now. Anyway, too many judges. So you got that. That's the. I mean, but bottom line, there is no constitutional basis. There's no legal basis for the gag order. Engoron's been overturned now 4 times, I think, in New York. And they're trying to rely on those threats, a half of which are not threats, but are nasty words, to justify gagging Trump because they think by gagging Trump it somehow quells whatever nastiness Engoron gets. You know what probably increases the nastiness? Half-naked pictures sent to an alumni that probably consists of teenagers. Maybe that. Also, violating the law probably irritates a constitution-loving people. But don't threaten. Can't tell people not to insult because that is a First Amendment right. But just bear in mind, if you go out there and threaten anybody, you are undermining the very cause that you purport to be supporting, which leads me to conclude that you either don't support the cause or you're actively trying to sabotage it. There, I said it. Okay. Oh, have we had enough swear words for a day? Let me go to some of the Rumble rants. Oh my, it's an hour and 20 minutes. Okay, we got some more good stuff here. Hold on, stay tuned. Maybe we've gone for too long on that segment, but we had to. Do we see the super chat or the Rumble rants here? We do. Let me go down here. Okay, we got that. I'm not your buddy guy. Okay, the vehicle. I'm not your buddy guy. Hey, Viva. Is it just me or is my comments being repeated 3 times for you as well? It is. No, it's not. I mean, there's different ones. I'm not your buddy guy. After 4 years of constant hate hoaxes, I no longer trust anyone on the left claiming they received threats or anything anymore. For crying out loud, they believed Jussie Smollett. The amount that turn out to be outright fabrications. And it's the oldest tactic in the book. It was like the Chicago, was it the Teamsters or Chicago, how to raise money in Chicago, throw a brick through your own window and then say that you've been vandalized. It's a great fundraising technique. Here, you're not raising funds, you're raising goodwill, and you're raising, judicial fodder to justify unconstitutional conduct. I'm not your buddy guy says, their logic makes 0 sense. If the threats quelled as Trump was gagged somehow shows they are supporters of his, makes 0 sense. Yep. You would figure as you gag Trump, the threats would increase. As I'm sure they have, by the way. As I'm sure they have, but that doesn't support the narrative, I'm not your buddy guy. It doesn't support their legal theory. Oh, it's crazy. All right, what else was there that's going on in the world that we want to talk about? Okay. The rainbow thing. Oh, yeah. Okay, we're gonna talk about end on a light subject. So, right, hold on. Who doth call? Okay. The missus says she's going to be back from Black Friday soon. The other day, I posted that unhinged, what's his name now? Mika Brzezinski and I'll get his name as soon as I bring up the article. Scarborough, my goodness, I'm losing my mind. So I posted that video of Scarborough with his unhinged. It's an amazing thing. Confession through projection is a real psychological phenomenon. So when you have the lefties, these unhinged, and I don't care that he was a Republican, whatever. When you have these lefty people talking about executions, talking about political persecutions, talking about Trump going to go and arrest and jail his adversaries, they are telling you what they're doing. And it's a weird thing that these should be the front and center on their psyches. Executions, as Scarborough is talking about. If Trump gets reelected, he's going to execute and arrest everyone he is allowed to execute and arrest. It's a very weird thing for Scarborough to be saying in general, but especially weird for Scarborough to be saying given his past. And I made the joke, it's confession through projection under the ordinary run of things, but let alone for someone who, very weird that a man who had an intern die in his office, allegedly from having struck her head on his desk after having passed out from a heart issue at the age of 20-something. It's ironic that he would be making those accusations of what he's alleging, Trump will do if and when he gets reelected. It's all bullshit to begin with. But I went down something of a small rabbit hole because we know of the rumors and we know of the internet memes, and it's not everybody who has an intern die in their office. let alone a young intern, die from allegedly smacking her head on a desk as she fell from an alleged heart arrhythmia with nobody there to see. And so I just, I wanted to understand I understood the origins of the rumors. I wanted to understand the origin of the absolute exoneration of Scarborough, because one can come up with a number of interesting theories as to what alternate narratives could very well be true and accurate. And one thing is for certain, it doesn't sound like the people involved, or at least the people close to the story, believe the official narrative. But I found an article from 2017, and I think it's from, I want to say Northwest Florida Daily. I think it's called Northwest Florida News Daily. And it was a long expose. Hold on, I want to see, what is NWF? Let's see, North? Yeah, Northwest Florida Daily News. Okay, fine, good. So they run a piece on it, and it's actually kind of fascinating, because although it purports to be an explanation of what actually happened, and actually only raises many more questions while leaving one specific, acutely relevant question unanswered. Listen to this. It's an amazing thing. Remember, this is in 2001, people. I gotta see. I think I only opened my Twitter account in 2009. I don't know what the internet was doing in 2001. Some people don't even know that Joe Scarborough, he was a Republican, member of Congress in Florida in 2001, and he had a young intern, die in his office. But the article, which purports to answer the questions but only leaves many of them unanswered, starts off with the absolute exoneration. The congressional record clearly indicates that on July 19, 2001, U.S. Representative Joe Scarborough, a Pensacola resident representing Florida's 1st District, was present and accounted for in Washington, D.C. On the day an employee, Laura Klausutis, died tragically inside his Fort Walton Beach satellite office, the young Republican engaged in a feisty debate with Anthony Weiner and cast several votes, including one taken not long before the U.S. House adjourned at 9:49 p.m. Okay, interesting. The first question is, okay, that's interesting. The congressional record clearly indicates. I'm not suggesting anything, by the way. I'm just saying I've got questions, even based on the first two paragraphs. The record indicates that he was there on the same day he was debating Anthony Weiner at 9:50. What time did he get to? What time did he get to D.C.? When did he go to D.C.? Did he go to D.C. that morning from Florida, from Pensacola? I'm curious. Just obvious questions that I would have asked and I would have expected answers to. But let's set aside the Scarborough link. This entire article does no help to quell conspiracy theories. At one point, I've shared this on our locals, and I think I shared this on Twitter. At one point, it says that the original two people who found his intern unconscious said that there was no sign of head injuries. Here, at about 8:30 on July 20th, 2001, July 20. So that's the day before. Well, now I've got even more questions. So on July 19, okay, the timing is weird here. Where were we? At about 8:30 a.m., July 20th, Juanita Marie Bergman, a Destin resident and former nurse, relevant because a former nurse is not going to make this type of mistake, and her husband, Andre, they arrived at Scarborough's Fort Walton Beach office, I don't know why they're giving the address, to discuss a work permit issue. They found the door of the office open and the lights on, which would be weird if Klausutis only came into the office in the morning, which presumably there would be lights, enough light from the sunlight. Okay, interesting. The light's on. They mention it. It's got to be for a reason. And the body of Klausutis, a Scarborough constituent, lying on the floor next to a desk. Juanita checked the pulse of the young woman while her husband called 911. She said she saw no indication of a head injury and no indication of foul play. I swear to you, I thought I misread this every time I read it. She said she saw no indication of a head injury. The woman's a nurse. Dying from a head injury because you smack your head on a desk on the way down after you've passed out is going to leave a head injury by definition. Then you got the medical expert who has his own issues, who said that there was a scratch and a bruise on Klausutis' skull. So the medical expert is now finally, he has to indicate a little later on, many days later, okay, there was a scratch and a bruise. And then hold on one second. Okay, no breaking. Here we go. No police. Where was it? Here we go. Then you got 2 police officers. The first was that 2 police officers who attended the Klausutis autopsy reported the young woman had suffered a fractured skull, which took Birkeland's scratch and bruise analysis to another level. So it's absolutely astonishing, this article, setting aside that it doesn't actually ever pinpoint when Scarborough left Florida, arrived in D.C., or came back to Florida. The article itself, which attempts to quell any conspiracy, this was just a natural, unfortunate death. Bergman, the woman who found the body, a nurse, said no indication of foul play. How they would know that, Lord knows, and no indication of head injury. The medical examiner, who has his own corruption, incompetence questions, finally had to say scratch and a bruise. 2 police officers who attended the autopsy said cracked skull, which brought into question the scratch and the bruise from the medical examiner, which certainly calls into question the no sign of head injury from the original 2 people who purportedly found Klausutis dead. So it's a rabbit hole to go down. I think I've gone down as far as I'm going to go, because I don't know how you would even... you'd have to get a journalist who's interested in the Pulitzer Prize to start going down all of the rabbit holes where this would go. Start asking questions of anybody who's still alive. This was 22 years ago. But it's just fascinating that the article, which attempts to put to rest any of the conspiracy theories, by its own drafting, by the words on the page and the issues it raises, actually raises many more questions than it answers. Okay, that was that. And then one last one, which I think we're going to end with, because... let me see here. A response to... okay, so this was another one about the same article. Okay, this was my highlighted version, so we'll get rid of that. When I was on The Unusual Suspects, and I learned something from one of the panel members, who is a writer for Valuetainment, Connor, brought my attention to a document, a leaked memo, which has been leaked, which details internal discussions within Israel as to how they're going to deal with the Gazan refugee crisis as a result of the military operations that are now ongoing in response to the horrific October 7 terrorist attack. And during the show, the individual, Connor, brought up a document that I had never seen before. This is the screen grab of the document that was leaked, and the authenticity of the document has not been contradicted. I believe Israeli intelligence said it was just, this is an internal memo. It was not supposed to be leaked. But also, if it were not intended to be policy and it was just the musings or the philosophizings or the contemplations of someone who is not in a decision-making position, although if you want the full analysis of this, go watch The Unusual Suspects, the most recent episode. I hope they have a Rumble channel, but The Unusual Suspects, you'll find it on YouTube, hosted by Vinny Oshana, where Connor talks about this in a document in great detail, where this is from, it's a translation, whether or not it's just, some employee saying this is what might happen, this is what I might propose, but it might get shot down by official policy. Appendix A, countries and entities that can contribute to the solution of the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. The United States, possible contribution. Assistance in promoting the initiative in front of many countries, including exerting pressure on Egypt, Turkey, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the Emirates to contribute to the initiative, or with resources, or the absorption of displaced persons. Now, I don't know if this means possible contribution of the United States, assistance in promoting the initiative on the fronts, or the absorption of the displaced persons. So I don't know if this is suggesting that the United States or the Western world should absorb displaced persons, but what this memo unequivocally stipulates, whether or not it has any binding force internally, is that those who have fled or have evacuated are never going home. That land is they're never going back to homes. And this was specifically some of the critique, some of the suspicion from the beginning, set aside the horror of October 7, this was some of the preemptive critique that the Israeli government was going to use this as a pretext to acquire more land or expand buffer zones. Some people say, well, that's the logical outcome, and that might be what's necessary to ensure a lasting peace. Others are going to say, well, then when you were telling people to evacuate temporarily so that operations can be conducted, you didn't say that they were never going to have a home to come back to and that they were never going to be allowed to come back to their home, and that you were going to shift the operation to coercing, pressuring other nations to accept refugees that you yourself would not accept for reasons that are obvious, but for reasons that should be equally obvious for any other nation that you want to pressure and coerce into taking the refugees that are now being created as a result of the military response to the Hamas attack. Incentives. Interest in a clear Israeli victory and restoring the deterrence of the entire West that was damaged due to the attack on Israel. Restoration of a position as a world leader and a key country for solving crises. Interest in creating a significant regional change and giving a blow to the radical axis. And then you got all the possible actions for Egypt, etc. And so, I mean, these discussions, the Gaza-Israel, Palestine-Israel discussion is not one that can be had on social media. And, you know, Shapiro's had his public tiff with Candace Owens, or they've had their exchanges. Dave Smith has had his debate with Laura Loomer. But, you know, I watched when I was going to and from the Valuetainment, I watched Ben Shapiro talk about this. And I just, you know, I have these questions where now we're entering a realm now where what some people were claiming were, I'll call it anti-Israel. I'm not going to drop the anti-Semitic, but what some people were saying were conspiracy theory. No, this is just a military operation to get rid of a threat. And it's not a land grab, or it's not a pretextual land grab. And then this leaked memo comes out, which seems to confirm if it wasn't a pretextual land grab, well, it's certainly going to turn into, don't call it a land grab, call it an acquisition of land to create a buffer or to prevent further attacks from that land. It seems to be a confirmed reality. And then the defense is going to be, well, this is just an internal memo. Nobody knows its probative or political value. But the defense or the explanation was not that this was just someone floating an opinion. The defense was that this was not intended to be leaked. And lo and behold, oh, sorry, I have Shapiro's face up there and we don't need to see that, but I was going to give everybody a link. It's going to be a very big problem worldwide in terms of public sentiment, where, I mean, the idea being, for anybody who understands history, one understands why Egypt refuses to open its borders to Palestinians. One understands it. And if you don't know why, you might want to look it up, but it's because historically, Palestinian leadership has caused problems for Egyptian government. Same thing in Lebanon. And so there's a historical reason why the Palestinian people have been the victims of the consequences of the leadership, which has been just as problematic and the object of avoidance of other Arab nations as it has of Israel. The idea now that there's going to be some sort of PR push to convince the rest of the world to absorb refugees that Israel obviously doesn't want to absorb for obvious security reasons, that Egypt doesn't want to absorb for obvious security reasons, that Lebanon does not want to absorb for obvious security reasons, that anywhere else in the world, the expectation is going to be that they should absorb them despite the same security concerns that other nations have had for decades. What's that going to do for public sentiment for Israeli policy? What's that going to do to confirm some of what we'll refer to as anti-Semitic tropes, stereotypes, etc.? So I'd love to have a discussion with Ben Shapiro about this. Not a debate, because I'm not an authority on this. I can ask the obvious questions, and it's taking a little bit of courage to ask the obvious questions without guilt or, without feeling guilty. Although, it does lead to accusations even against people who are quite clearly members of that group. But there is not, what's the word? There's not ideological homogeneity among the Jewish community. That's why any number of the Jewish stereotypes and the Jewish tropes, they don't hold the basic, water of logic, because one of the specific issues is that there is no ideological homogeneity among Jews as a whole. But that leaked memo, if you haven't seen it, let me see if I can get the value tainment. I'll share it. I've shared it in our, if I haven't shared it in locals, I will after this. And with that said, is there anything more that I have left on the back burner that I've forgotten about? Sunday night show, we're going to have a lot to talk about. I might go live tomorrow because I believe I get the house back tomorrow. I had the slow motion of the border crossing that I put together. Look at that. I'm not trying to say this to be funny. Straight up Dukes of Hazzard. Look, the car even goes off the ramp and then turns sideways and then blows up and kills both people. Anyhow, so that's the slow motion of the, what was being passed off as an alleged terrorist attack until information came in. Okay, I think we've got it. I'm gonna go to the chat in. Yeah, no, I was gonna talk about another thing with the Palestine-Israel conflict, but it's depressing. All of it. Okay, let's go to, there was another Rumble rant in Rumble, and I'll get some of the chat, and then we can take this party on over to vivabarneslaw.locals.com. Got 183 people there, and I'm going to go do some Q&A and some, have a nice community talk. Okay, what was I doing here? Short attention span. I'm Not Your Buddy Guy says, the Scarborough situation makes me think he cut a deal for a cover-up in exchange to become a permanent mouthpiece for the deep state. I'm Not Your Buddy Guy says, I agree with the confession through projection. But part of me wonders why he would say that. Makes me wonder if he is worried he may be guilty of committing actual treason. Do the Dems answer to China? Okay, and then we got in the chat here, Dark Side. Let's see this. Let me see this. Let me see this here. Free speech was created so you have to hear. You may not like ass wipes. Hold on. Why does it keep going away? Oh, son of a bee sting. No, we're going back. We're going back to read the ass wipes. Undoubtedly. Oh, right. I've lost it. Okay, I'm not reading that. Wild is right. No more immigrations from the Middle East. And then you go back and retrospectively look at other policy decisions that led to migrant crises that have led to social upheaval. Like it's an amazing thing. We've got to deal with the migrant crisis coming from military intervention. How about you just figure out a way to not have military intervention that leads to mass migration, mass migrant crises? NB4 Janny's 404. One thing is for sure. Oh, Ben, I thought it said Biden has no problem with innocent deaths as long as they are not Jews. I don't believe Ben is. I don't believe Ben is immoral in his views. And there's a flip side. I mean, I would never feel comfortable telling anybody to go to war because I don't know what I would go to war for. I mean, it would have to be a very immediate, proximate threat for me to ever engage in actual violence. But these war whores, these war pigs, these war hawks, whichever animal you want to call them, that are, they say they're not gung-ho on war, but listening to Tim Scott talk about Ukraine, listening to everyone talk about the war in Ukraine, and now you're hundreds of thousands of innocent, I'll say innocent soldiers dead. And now you talk about doing what you should have done before? Terrible. And now you hear people saying, well, why would Russia negotiate now? They're winning. Why would Russia come to... Yeah, they won't. That's why, part of negotiation is learning how to negotiate from a position of weakness, but cloaking it as something of a position of strength. If you don't know how to negotiate from a position of weakness, why do you think the person is going to negotiate from a position of power when they don't have to? But there are a lot of people who are very quick to say war, 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 knowing that neither they nor their loved ones are going to have to fight in it. Now, but it's a little different for Ben Shapiro, and I'll give him. I'm not going to cast him into this. What do they call it? Cubicle, because I mean, Ben, I have no doubt has friends, family who are in Israel fighting, who would be directly or are directly touched by all this. So he's not as distant and detached as, I don't know, say Nikki Haley, Mitch McConnell, Adam Kinzinger. So, yeah. J Martini 179 says the knifeman in Dublin was an asylum seeker from Algeria living on the fat of the tax-paying Irish citizens. I know that that's what they've been saying, and we'll see when that gets confirmed. I'm not your buddy guy says, yeah, but like I said, military intervention isn't an exact science. Okay, no. Ben is naive in some spaces, says fighting Irish, or not, or idealistic, oversimplified, and is seeing it only through. I've had people say, you know, like they've gained new respect for Biden because of his pro-Israel stance, and I understand that sentiment. If you are a Jewish person and you see your personal safety wherever you are intrinsically intercorrelated with the safety of Israel, I understand that. And in as much as I try not to have arguments with people, and I don't, my retort to anybody saying, wow, I found a newfound respect for Biden for his staunch support of Israel in this time of need, I don't want to call him names, but I'm like, oh, you support the guy who's releasing the funds to the country that's financing the terrorism against Israel that resulted in 1,200 deaths, however many kidnappings, and you're supporting him because of his staunch support for a problem that he has directly or indirectly created. What sense does that make? You're loving your torturer. You are admiring your kidnapper. Biden releases $10 billion to Iran. Iran finances Hamas, Hezbollah, which carries out acts of terror on Israelis, on Israeli citizens, on non-Israelis, on Israel, that results in, give or take, 1,200 Israelis, non-Israelis, foreign nationals, Arabs, hundreds being taken hostage, including Americans, and you want to praise Biden for strongly supporting the victim of what he's indirectly financing? That's idiotic. And that's actually, it's idiotic. I don't want to use any more inflammatory rhetoric. Okay, with that said, we're going to play us out with a little bit of goodness. For anyone who hasn't seen it or doesn't know, by the way, all of this podcast will be on Podbean, Viva and Barnes Law for the People. Clips will be on Viva Clips or Viva Frei on Rumble. The entire stream will be posted to YouTube later. They get the leftovers. But you can come follow us on vivabarneslaw.locals.com. You can become a member, a supporter, or stick to Rumble, or stick to YouTube. But I just noticed another Rumble rant came in. Barbisa Ariane said, we need consequences, no more deaths. Seriously, bring back medieval torture devices. Okay. Barbisa, thank you very much. What I said we were going to do is play us out with something. I'm not playing the whole video. Where is the whole video? Hold on a second. The whole video is magnet fishing here. Oh, so I only put it to Twitter. The whole video is on Rumble, but I'm going to play us out while we go over to vivabarneslaw.locals.com. Hold on a second. I got to get that stupid cake pop out of there. Oh, God, those cake pops. Okay. I went magnet fishing. We found a bunch of metal crap, but we saw beautiful gators. So I'm going to play us out with this while I head over to vivabarneslaw.locals.com. Come on over. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of the day. Happy Thanksgiving week. Oh, my thoughts on Thanksgiving. Hold on. Be thankful. And force yourself to be thankful. It's a state of mind and not something that that comes onto you. There are people who, by certain metrics, have very little, who are thankful for what they have. And I just say this, you know, it's the old, there's an Irish proverb in here, I forget what it is, but if you have your health, be thankful. If you're alive and breathing and you have another day to fight, be thankful. If you've had a good life, be thankful. And if you can't be thankful, say the words. It's sort of like smiling, I think. It will train your brain to be thankful, in as much as smiling actually changes the chemistry, even if you don't want to smile. Don't do that. That's not a smile. That's like Nicolas Cage out of Face Up. force a smile, even if it's privately, it will change your perspective. But also, if you can't feel the gratitude, just say the words and say the things, and it will change the framing. Happy Thanksgiving week. It's an amazing thing to see it out here in America. We went fishing yesterday. We caught fish. You have your health. That's pretty much all you need. So with your health, you can make wealth and happiness. People say health, wealth, and happiness. Just health. With your health, you can make wealth and happiness. And with that said, everybody, we'll play this for a few minutes while I go meander over to locals. And see you all there. vivabarneslaw.locals.com. Happy Thanksgiving. See you Sunday night for the Sunday night show. Peace out, peeps. We're here, the Arthur R. Marshall Loxahatchee National Wildlife Refuge. I'm going to put the camera like this. I'll show you your shoe afterwards. I'm going to put the camera down like this the whole way down, because undoubtedly we're going to see something good. Just like this. Here we go. The refuge is open from 5 in the morning to 10 at night. Bumps ahead. That sounds like a challenge. Stop ahead. That sounds like a dare. Oh, jeez. We're halfway down and see 2 people on the side of the road, and apparently there's an alligator. So we're gonna go see the alligator now. Kid's already up. He's gone. Oh, dude, you didn't look before you crossed the street.
Oh my god. Yeah, he's a big boy. Big girl. That's a mama.
Oh, is that beautiful? Okay, that is so cool.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, that's like perfect slime. Cat. Oh, I'm gonna zoom in a little bit.
She has babies, but we don't hear the babies out here right now. They sound like
Dude,
little...
back up.
Yeah, you don't want to fall in there. That'd be pretty mucky. She might not like you.
Can I be in the video again?
Yeah, you're in the video right now. Is this cool? Conversations. Okay. All right, we barely have gotten to our spot. Look at this thing. I don't think it's I don't know. It's definitely not a woodpecker, although I can see why you think it's a pileated woodpecker. That's a big bird. Oh, yeah. Well, we're at the location where we're going to go magnet fishing.
He's gonna get hit by
It's not going to get hit by a car, and I'm going to just wait for it to. Look at this. They're like velociraptors, kind of like. Ah! Hello.
Let's help them cross the road.
No, they'll be fine. What else do you have to say? You see my Stanley Kubrick direction right now?
They're gonna kill us.
They're,
Are they gonna kill us?
no.
Can I touch it?
Can you what?
Touch it.
Nope.
Can I chase it so it can go faster?
No, that would be called harassing wildlife. Go faster. Beautiful animals. All right, let's go. All right, we're here and we're showing our magnet. This is Brute Magnetics, hashtag not an ad. It's just the one we happen to have ordered off the internet. We got the magnet, we got the rope, we got the kid's butt.
I found a huge alligator over there.
So this is what you have to contend with. That is a big flipping alligator. That is huge. So we might don't lean over. We might go find another spot to go magnet fishing for now, but that's the gator. Wow. And we're at the Glades. Some fishermen down there. Amazing stuff. We're gonna go up to the lookout afterwards. But for now, this is the magnet. We're gonna tie it to the rope, throw it into the water, drag it in, and see what we get after we buy. Locals, am I here? I'm here. Okay, good. Oh lordy, it's a sandhill crane, by the way. That was our above average locals community. So let me know that we're live here. You guys can still see me, right? I didn't kill the wrong stream. Hold on. I want everyone to know I have to pee so badly. I'm gonna hold it in. Taking it for the team, people. We're good here, right? Hold on a second. Let me just make sure. We stop typing here. We good here? Do you see? Live. Okay, good. Viva Frei, why? That's. Hold on a second. SRAN says Viva Frei, why? That was the good part. Happy Black Friday. So the family, I don't know if they're back yet. It's 1 o'clock. Let's see here. I would have seen them come in through the door with, let's see here. Oh, maybe they are back. Gopi, no, I'm holding it in because we're gonna end this. Okay, so hold on 1 second. What was I saying? Yes, it's a sandhill crane. I mean, I knew it wasn't a woodpecker, but the sandhill crane, I mean, it looks like an ostrich practically. It's a massive, specifically Florida sandhill cranes, says Time Bandit 66. The gator was huge. The gator was easily 12 feet. And what's amazing is that, you see the tail, but there's a part that dips down. So if you're measuring it tip of nose to tip of tail, there's a 3 feet that you don't even see. Fat, juicy, massive skull, and beautiful. Mel VS says, Viva, Bongino gave you the shout out the other day. Who told me that? So someone I'm friends with texted me and said, yeah, he played a portion for the Elon Musk analysis. Yep. You know what's funny is I'm actually going to look like mildly smart for the Elon Musk lawsuit because I consulted with Nate, the great Brody, afterwards, although I'm going to talk about it with Barnes as well. Nate is now in Texas. I don't know if he's certified to practice in Texas, but Nate is... Nate said I was not wrong for highlighting the anti-slap potential. What am I spitting everywhere for today? Get that one out of there. Nate said I was not wrong to highlight the risk and legal reality of Musk facing an anti-slap dismissal. I put it well, Viva says, Melvius. Should I see? One day, I am not trophy hunting on Twitter or anything. In fact, most people don't even know some of the big accounts who follow me. One day, I know there's a tracker of Elon Musk. He's not following me yet. Dude's only following 494 people for... Anyway, one day, maybe it'll happen. Okay, Viva. Ursula G says, you do seem happier in Florida. Not that you were sad or negative. CNN in your car blogs, but you just seem to be like a boy experiencing life for the firstborns. It's beautiful. Other than my dilemma, look, I will not get over the fact that there's fresh water in Florida. You not only can you not jump into it to go swimming, it's a literal death sentence. I mean, like that alligator, the 12-footer, it dips down under the water. You have no idea it's there, and if you jump in the water, it will eat you and it will kill you. In Canada, any body of water, you can jump in it. The worst that you'll get, maybe leeches, or hypothermia. But it's like the water's a death trap out here. Rogan refers to it as monster soup. I want to go magnet fishing. There's a 12-foot alligator that would eat me alive if I went in the water. So yeah, I'll never get over that. But I mean, I'll also there's a bit of the guilt and there's a bit of the shame. Like people think they're gonna troll me when they say, "Oh, you fled Canada, you're a coward." There's a part of me that feels guilty for having left. I still think I'm fighting the better battle here than I could ever have there. And Canada's gone flipping crazy. It's period. I'm not sacrificing myself for no better reason if I can do what I would otherwise be doing there from anywhere else in a manner that protects me and my family. Canada's gone crazy. Okay. Entry required. We're going to go to the tips. Have I missed any here? No, I haven't. Start from the beginning. Entry required. $1 says we may never know, and I assume that's in response or in respect of the Scarborough. Some people in our community, I believe, rightly hypothesize. It's conceivable someone was under a desk doing something, got startled, got up quick and smashed their head. But no, man, you know how hard you have to smash your head to die? I mean, there was one, it traumatized me forever. It was one of those medical shows where they were talking about, it was a figure skater who was, holding up his partner and slipped and whacked his head on the ice. I mean, they played it over, whacked. It wasn't just that he fell and hit. It was like, like the whiplash into the ice, and he cracked his skull. He got brain damage. They removed his skull to allow for the inflammation of the brain, so as not to kill him. I remember the entire episode. It traumatized me. They put him in what I think they call it a striker bed, and it said, "Do not rotate," because you're supposed to rotate on a striker bed so you don't get bed sores, because he doesn't have a skull holding his brain in. And the guy lived, but with brain damage. So you got to hit your head flipping hard to die. Someone hitting your head it's a different situation. Coming in and not seeing any identifiable head injuries to then have that contradicted by two other people, who would be the liar there? If I'm going by logic, I would say that the two police officers who say, what the hell's going on? I saw a fractured skull. I'd like to know what Juanita Bergman's relationship to Scarborough was. If anyone's lying in there, I think I know where the lies go from and to. No head injury, I would say, is most likely the lie of the three stories. Medical expert comes in and says, okay, well, no head injury. All right, fine, this is about the crack. I got to put a bruise in his skull. Two cops come in who are doing their jobs well and say, scratch and a bruise? Her freaking skull was cracked. Okay. Bill Brown says you didn't share the best pick from yesterday. Bill, did I share it with you and then I didn't share it with text me if there was a pick that I shared with you that you mean I ought to have shared. Text me if there's a picture I texted you that I should have shared with everybody. Which one was the best one? Which one did I share? I shared good ones. Okay, I'll have to think about it. Entry required says, did you get the magnet hunting care package we sent you? No, but I need to go to the post office today because apparently the man who gave me the atomic clock has gifted me a an analog clock. Jeez Louise. Okay. I feel like I'm going crazy. So I'm going to go. Entry required. Stay tuned. Bill Brown, if you come up and got tuna fishing yet, your first tuna you reel in, you have to take a bite of the heart. It's a tradition in real time. If I don't see parasites, I'll do it. Entry required says, I've threatened to go out in the woods, gather up sturdy branches and make pitchforks and torches so that I can go into town and sell them out of a barrel. Don't do that. Bill Brown, when you join, okay, so Bill Brown's sending the swastika meme of the pride flag. When you join 4 pride flags, you transform into ultra pride. There was another one that was done with the Liberal of Canada thing where you put them together and it forms like something of a swastika as well. I'll see if I can find that. Entry required says, I used to have a mouth washed out with soap as a kid. So did we. My mother would grind the soap on the back of our teeth. So did we. I think Irish soap was the least tasteful. I did not develop a slightly foul mouth until my 50s. We used to have that treatment also, and it's why I absolutely detest. I'm going to forget the name of the gum that tastes like soap. Purple gum tastes like soap. Thrills. Oh God, that's disgusting. I always found that Thrills tasted like soap, and I used to have my mouth washed out. Not infrequently as a child. I was a bit of a troublemaker. Let's see here. Okay, we got entry required. Says locals people are still orphans or a red-haired stepchildren when it comes to chat. When does that Oh shoot, I was supposed to do it this week and I made a promise that I was going to do it. Our comments are an afterthought and are not viewed timely as you discuss each news story. Son of a bee sting. I said I was going to do it. We're going to do it for the Sunday show. I have to just make sure that I can still start on YouTube. Okay. It's a fair point. Damn it, I was supposed to do it today. Maybe I'll do another stream later today. We'll see. Okay. Entry required. Okay, no, we got that one. Scuba Jim, $10 says, I listened to an interview of Jared Diamond, author of Guns, Germs, and Steel. And he was asked, what is one of the biggest threats to humanity? His response was social media. You miss all the micro expressions in face-to-face conversation. To get attention, you must be hyperbolic. Yep, I love that. But it's a question like social media versus... No, that's what I was going to say, like versus one-on-one letter writing, because it's true. The reason for which you engage in social media is diametrically opposed to one-on-one conversation. Yeah. Entry required said, Good Logic's dad a few weeks... by the way, entry required. One way to view this, I understand addressing the chat here as an afterthought, but then the flip side is also addressing it exclusively in a dedicated portion. But no, I will be using the Rumble Studio, and I meant to do it today. I promised I would do it this week. I guess I have to go live again either today or tomorrow. We'll do it, or we'll figure out a way to make it work for Sunday with all of the risks and peril that come along with that. Entry Card says, Good Logic's data a few weeks ago suggested some were saying that annexation of terrorist areas would be appropriate. I do not necessarily disagree. Yeah, but then it's just a question of describing it for what it is. And, then you might not even, annexing of terrorist areas, some people are going to make the argument for that means all of Gaza and all of the West Bank. And then some people are going to say, well, that certainly is a very unfortunate consequence of having supported to some extent Hamas directly or indirectly, sort of promoted them in the fight against the PLO, ensured that you have these organizations that thrive. And then this is a point that I made to Ben Shapiro. Like, in as much as I rightly and believe people rightly blame Biden for financing Iran through humanitarian aid, I mean, that's what the Netanyahu government has been doing in Gaza since 2018, 2019. Facilitating briefcases of cash under the guise of humanitarian aid, knowing what is being done with it. So if you hold Biden's feet to the fire for releasing billions of humanitarian aid to Iran, so too you must hold Netanyahu's feet to the fire for releasing millions in aid to Gaza, knowing exactly where it's going. And then if that's the idea, it's going to be annexing terrorist land or land that we designate as terrorist occupied land. Then some people are going to say, well, it certainly might support, confirm, or at least fortify arguments that people had that, it was a convenient inconvenience to have tolerated Hamas in any way, shape, or form. So yeah, Bill Brown says the pick with the E-Man holding his catch was the best pick out of the bunch yesterday. Okay, I'm going to put that one up on locals afterwards. Entry Card says woodpeckers are evil animals. I remember my long dead Cuban uncle shooting up the side of his house in Pennsylvania with a rifle trying to kill a freaking woodpecker. He never got the darn thing, should have used a shotgun. Question is why? I had a neighbor here that I noticed had a woodpecker in one of their palm trees and didn't like it, but they didn't like it because they said it was going to kill the palm tree. I've always grown up to think that woodpeckers are magnificent, beautiful creatures to be revered. I was like, oh, that's the famous pileated woodpecker. That's my mother-in-law who was into bird watching. Ursula G. Hold on. S-Ren, hold on one second. S-Ren says Viva Frei is just an abusive person that ignores us, then says he treats us different because we're special. I hope to hopes that that's a joke and that was intended to be sarcastic and ironic and could be misread because humor translates badly, to which Ursula G replies, I totally disagree. He always reads my comments. Oh, and then John McGarvey says, it's not sad or beautiful. These are the actual hostages coming home. And we got, let me see, I can read their names going from left to right. Chana Pri, which means fruit in Hebrew. Then you got Adina Masha. Then you got Amalia Alini. Then you got Dviel Alini. I guess they're sibling or mother and daughter. Then you got Ohad. I can't read that. I can't just see the words. Mandach. Then you got Parel Mandach, who I guess is the mother of the kid. And then you got Ruti Mandar, who I guess is the grandmother. Then you got Yafa Azer. Yafa means beautiful in Hebrew. Azer. Then you got Targlit Tuzim. I can't see the letters. Chana Katzich. Aviv Ashach. Ro Ashach. That's the mother. Dorin. Yep, 13 people coming back. How traumatized. I mean, I don't know what horrors they saw and experienced. I can only imagine in my worst nightmares. And so what healing they're going to have to go through for the rest of their life. It's unimaginable. And not... there was another tip that came in with Dread Robert. Oh, no. Entry Required says, I have watched this Arab terrorism for more than your lifetime. I am fed up. If all of them were migrated to Qatar and Iran, I would just shrug my shoulders. It is an Israel decision, Mr. Entry Required. Ursula G says, don't feel guilty, enjoy life. Life is too short for regrets. And then we got Dread Robert. What's happening is Israel appears to be an example of what doing the right can be a huge mistake in the long run. Israel should have kept the lands like the Golan Heights, letting their enemies stay and trying to keep them from being armed was a losing proposition. Hate does not go away just because of time. See Yugoslavia, do you think? So fair points. There was a better way to handle things after the previous wars, or was this inevitable? And then Bill Brown says, just FYI, David, I'm getting mood at right now because I'm late feeding the animals, watching this live. It's amazing. Oh, I haven't gotten mood yet, but I should probably go and mingle with the children now. Although I spent the the entire day yesterday, and then with the day before we did something where then we went to the alligator place, magnet fishing. So I should probably go and see what's going on with the family. Woodpeckers are the biggest pain in the butt. They build nests in my walls. They dig right through the cellar paneling and live in the drywall. Peck my chimney at 5 a.m., says Ursula G. Okay. All right. So all that to say, I'm going to figure something out. It's raining. Well, for goodness sake. Well, now what the heck am I going to do? I got this amazing app that tells you the weather. Oh, yeah. Okay. Hold on. Bill Brown wants me to show this. And I'll send it to, let me just make sure. Here, look like this. Mahi are... Jesus, just gotta make sure I'm not letting... Okay, that was just a rumble. Okay, check it out. Focus. There we go. That's not the biggest mahi in the world, but we got it in the fridge, and we're going to have mahi tonight. What was I about to say? Oh, yeah, I got an app. I can see when the rain is going to blow over. Locals. I will see you soon. Oh, and our locals convo. It was short notice, and I emailed our locals convo this morning. We might just have to do an exclusive locals, not linked to a stream, locals conversation with this week's supporter. It's coming. Just going to figure out the time. All right, go now, people. Enjoy Thanksgiving. Enjoy Black Friday. Enjoy friends, family. Enjoy solitude if you're taking a break from it all. Enjoy the weather. Exercise. Sunlight. Eat healthy. Beyond a wholesome discipline, be kind and forgiving with yourself. Desiderata. Go, and I'll see you, if not any later than Sunday, but probably earlier, just because I can't help myself. Okay, everybody enjoy the day. Thank you for being here. See you soon.